Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Bretonia, led by Karavith here, facing off against the High Elves, who shall be helmed by Count Games here on the Brave Valley. And I had to do a double take when I saw this, because this looked like it was actually like a small funds tournament or something. I was like, this can't be like a regular tournament replay. He has like 4 units in his army, but these are max chevroned Grail Guardians, which are going to cost well over 2,000 gold and have some pretty sick stats. So it doesn't show the green increase on these numbers for some reason, but their melee defense went from 58 to 70, 42 melee attack up to 52 here. And obviously they're going to be getting bonuses in other areas, I believe. Yeah, you get a little bit of melee defense, a little bit of melee attack, and they get a bonus speed from Alberic up in the sky. And yeah, it's going to be super fun. They also get plus 10 leadership as well, sitting at 108. So basically an unbreakable unit. Now, Grail Guardians are going to be getting bonus first large from Alberic, but they don't normally have that. They're more designed to fight infantry and like a generalist piece, I suppose, like an anchored cav unit. Usually Lances are the cavalry units that are designed for cycle charging and hard impact hits. Grail Guardians are more like, I need to hold a position and get over there quickly, so I'm going to move these guys and have them be a bit of a, anchor there here. But with Alberic and their bonus first large, they kind of become good against most things. We have a Damsel of Life, because if you're going to be going for Uber Giga Chad Grail Guardians, you need to heal them. And there is 1 Trebuchet. So this is a wild build, man. If this works, I'm going to be... There's so much unexplored meta in Domination mode, I feel. I'm really, really excited to kind of see what people come up with here for the upcoming season finals. Well, upcoming couple months, but you guys get the idea. Knights Errant going to be called in, and for Count Games, also a very Chad build. Going to be Tyrion with Sunfang, and the rest of the army is going to be Silver Guard, Lothern Sea Guard. So basically what you often see against Bretonia, which is a lot of pointy sticks. And Silver Guard will probably beat most Bretonian infantry with the exception of Foot Squires, and will be very good against cavalry. Lothern Sea Guard going to be nice at poking as well. The Trebuchet is dropping some rocks from the high ground here. We do see the dreaded Field Trebuchet. I guess it's a nice little poking piece. And, back in the day, High Elves would often bring like Phoenix Guard and things like that when the meta back in Warhammer 2 was a little bit more box-centric and whatnot. So you would see Trebuchets in this matchup, and yeah, not bad at poking at expensive High Elves here. Now on the outside, objective number 3 is going to be getting attacked here by the Illyrian Reavers, and yeah, the Grail Guardians aren't going to be having any of that smoke, so they're going to be heading over to try and contest that, while the Illyrian Reaver archers come in, providing another 4 capture weight, but I think we are going to be seeing 4 and 4 plus 3, so that is going to be favoring the capture weight of Bretonia. Objective 1 on the outside also going to be taken by the Knights Errant there, who do have 4 capture weight, while the High Elves are going to be getting their clutches on the middle. But the Trebuchets, wow, look at the Treb. Not doing bad work, but the High Elves are actually going to press up the hill, which is pretty funny. And there are going to be some Knights of the Realm coming down. But yeah, how does a Bretonian army deal with this, like, pointy box? I guess they try and pull them apart, like play the outside objectives, make the formation split up, and then isolate them in the move, right? Over here, Bretonia does get objective number 3, but it is immediately going to be retaken by the High Elves. The Spearmen are going to be surging forth, and we do get 1 Grail Guardian going for a side charge against these spears. So here they come for the lady, and yeah, they weren't braced and or facing the right direction here, so I'm curious to see how the super uber Grail Guardians here fight against something that should, in theory, be a bit of a soft counter against them. Illyrian Reaver is going to be swarming in, but the Grail Guardians are tanking that very, very well, actually. While we do get the Grail Guardians with Flesh to Stone moving in. So that means they're going to have 15% Warp and 75% damage reduction against most of these things here. Other Knights of the Realm going to be charging into the Lothern Sea Guard, and we do have the Silver Helms coming out, which will trade okay, or probably win against Knights Errant. But really, the only thing I really care about watching here is the performance of the Grail Guardians. Karavith here is a really, really good player. He tends to play underrated factions like Cathay, and in this case, it's going to be Bretonia. Alberic actually showing Tyrion who's boss. I mean, a monstrous creature, but Tyrion is also surrounded by Grail Guardians, which are really good armor-piercing fighters, and you can see Tyrion is going to be losing quite a bit of HP here, as the Grail Guardians do lose a lot of HP. I mean, they've only lost 3 models, so Earthbloods are going to be very good for them. Scroll of Shielding activated, which if you add Scroll of Shielding to the Flesh to Stone, they're suddenly going to be like almost 80-90% ward save against these attacks. But look at this, man. Giga Chad Alberic able to push Tyrion out of the brick, and this is the idea. Just chase him off the battlefield, right? That's quite huge. So he's just straight up using cavalry into spears. The Knights Errant going to be surging down towards the Silver Guard. These Knights Errant going to be coming down here after these bad boys. And Tyrion getting chased up, and he is getting whooped on. His regrowth does pop, but it doesn't matter if he's broken. That means he's going to be getting escorted off the battlefield, ladies and gentlemen. And he's going to be having a bad time. Now, you remember these Grail Guardians we looked at a minute ago? The ones that were just like hanging out over here? They are still fighting, and they're hanging in there against the spears. Now, there is going to be some sort of a spell going down on them. Let's see what it's going to be. It is the Fate of Buna, so that's very nice for the Elven caster. Certainly Tyrion was like, I wish you had been here earlier, but the Fate of being a great answer against the Grail Guardians. But the other Grail Guardians in the middle are kind of holding up the spearmen a little bit, pushing on over to the middle, and the Bretonian army is ahead in value. Now, Tyrion is escorted off the battlefield to the heir of an area, not looking so cool right now, and Silver and Guard do make it to the artillery piece. So the field trebuchet, what you would want to do is actually have the field trebuchet drop its equipment and run away right here. Alberic going to be coming in, could rear charge those guys and try and break them, but down in the middle, the Bretonian cavalry Death Star led by the Grail Guardians, doing some good work, and obviously Silverhelms are not really going to be able to hang with them. 5.5 for Caravithir, 4.5 for the forces of the High Elves, and with healing taken into account, certainly an even bigger lead for Bretonia. And the big thing for Bretonia is the fact that it does have a big monstrous combat lord who's still very much going to be involved in the game. Getting those bird claws in there, taking down some of the spearmen, so he's certainly doing good work here, and probably going to be seeing a break on the Silver and Guard soon, because they are getting a little bit low in terms of their leadership and HP, and usually that's when a terror rout comes in. Knights Errant going to be a shock charge, downhill, going to be sending some of the spearmen flying. And immediately you do see the rout coming in when the Cav do get that big thunderous charge. So Bretonia is ahead by about 1,000 value, and they have this scary Death Star now. Now that the High Elf formations have been a little bit broken, it's going to be very, very tough to deal with. The Grail Guardians, or Grail Guardians here, yes. They are currently sitting at 1,500 value, which is pretty good. So they haven't quite paid for themselves considering all the chevrons, but they're getting there. Outside objective was never retaken by the High Elves, so certainly a bit of a mistake. They should have just sat some of the Reavers over there. Knights of the Realm going to be called in. The Glorious Knights of the Lady. It's so cool when Bretonia actually does like dominate cav fights, like they're supposed to. There was like times back in the day where Bretonia would be like losing cav fights against like Empire, and you're like, it doesn't really feel right. Even though I'm a son of Sigmar myself, you know, that's still a little bit of heresy. So, Grail Guardians and company, though, still farming it up in the middle. The Silver and Guard are being progressively chewed down. The Grail Guardians' extremely high melee defense makes them very tough to hit, even for the Spearmen, in tandem with the Ward Save and the Flesh to Stone. And remember, Grail Guardians do have perfect vigor. So when other units are taking stat line debuffs, these guys are tired, for example. I'm sure there's some exhausted units on the battlefield somewhere. These guys are not going to be taking any debuffs. So Fate of Boon is activated. These Spearmen were not braced, which means they are going to be eating the charge like champs, although it kind of looks like they might have gotten their brace off there at the last second. But Grail Guardians, man, the power of the Grail Guardian could not be undone, and Alberic, I think, is going to be the big piece that probably carries this game if the Bretonians are able to win it. Currently looking at the points, we do see it is going to be 577 against 339. So, all right, it's in the ballpark there. But Bretonia does appear to be sitting in a, well, I guess objectives are flipping back and forth. High Elves have the outside objective. Middle objective here is going to be owned by Bretonia in just a moment. And High Elves are just kind of spamming in spears and Lothern Seaguard, and they're like, get everything with a pointy stick and do what we can. That is going to be the idea. So Bretonia has one objective and two objectives. Bretonia is up on points as well, which is going to be tough. Knights of the Realm, you know, are an anti-large unit, but still with the charge bonus of 65 and 32 melee attack, especially coming in with a big thunderous charge. This is what you guys signed up for, the erect Bretonian cinematics. Give it to me, baby. And there they go. Getting in, we do see a lot of those guys going flying right there, and a big impact damage. And the charge bonus is going to be lasting for quite a bit of the sustained combat here as those guys do get forced back. Outside objective still being held by Bretonia, and Bretonia is in the process of getting a triple cap. I don't think Caravithir is using any infantry. Okay, except the archers. So the peasant archers as well as the Knights of the Realm are going to be the only pieces there. Outside objective with, you know, proper decision making should be taken by these Knights of the Realm. They'll finish off these Rangers and get that point. And how are the Grail Knights doing? Grail Guardians, I do dare say. Trebuchet is back online. Peasant Archers able to fend off the Silver and Guard. And now, this is exactly what it needed as the Keepers of the Flame. But there are Trebuchets, right? And Caravithir immediately zeroes in on these guys and gets the Trebuchet shooting at the elite Halberd Infantry, which is the old school Warhammer 2 counter against these guys. Looks like they're going to be moving over to the flank here to try and get this objective. But the Bretonian Doom stack is rolling around. I feel like I'm watching like a campaign where Bretonia has like a bunch of elite cav and they're just like steamrolling these units that are maneuvering in here. But where are the Keepers of the Flame going to go? It looks like they're not being targeted right now. They are going after the Storm Riders. Bretonia going to be charging in once again with their cavalry. Getting a nice little engagement right there. But it looks like the Lothern Seaguard might have been braced. Earthblood going to be uber big value. Grail Guardians here currently sitting at 2,200 value. So I wonder after this game we'll go and check how much they cost with the max chevrons. But I assume it's going to be quite a bit actually. Up on the high ground here, we do see Alberic, and I quite literally mean the high ground, as we are on the Brave Valley. This map has been adjusted recently so that the slopes aren't quite as brutal. I think this is a really cool map, and that's one of the things that's been great about Warhammer 3 and the advent of Dawn mode is the variance of the maps and how terrain and different variables like that can be included. Over on Objective 3, not being contested at all. Trebuchet shots shooting into the Keepers of the Flame. Definitely want to get both Peasant Archers and zero them in on the Keepers. Charging these guys, this is going to be the best asset for the High Elves going forward, but I just don't think the High Elves are going to be able to win this game. I simply think that even though they might have a couple elite spears and halberds, which will be problematic for Bretonnia to handle, they're not going to be able to play the outsides. Companions of Quenelle is going to be coming in. They are a very solid armor-piercing unit with anti-large as well. So those guys are going to be chased off here. And Karabith here obviously knows the win condition, which is just to kind of hold the side objectives, keep his opponent locked down here, and do your best. So attempted theft here and attempted theft on the outside as well, as some rangers are there. And Bretonnia does see this. And the thundering hooves of the lady's finest horsemen going to be cruising across. Another Fated unit activated. I mean, also if Tyrion had maybe been able to stay alive, this could have been a different game. Because Tyrion would be trading pretty well with some of these elite cavalry and basic cavalry units with support. But Tyrion being karate chopped early means no leadership. It means no Sunfang. Like, imagine how good a single Sunfang would be against these two archer units, right? Pretty much just one-shot them. So, little things like that. But Rangers do get folded up. Bretonnia and Cav going to be moving in and cruising for a bruising. There's only 21 Rangers. Their numbers are going to be diminishing very, very quickly as the Companions of Quenelles do force back the Skirmishers here. And, yep, they are in good shape. I thought that was the Companions for a sec. I was like, how the hell did that happen? But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I don't see much of a chance for the High Elves. It's really just kind of the dreaded Reaganomics now, the trickle-down theories, trying to redistribute the wealth, but it's not going so good here, as we do see these guys getting forced back as the Illyrian Reavers do get routed. Up here on the high ground, it is going to be the Knights of the Lionheart coming in as well, and I feel pretty safe. I was about to fast forward that game. I was like, I think that's over. But what a cool showcase. Like, who would have ever thought in a million years that a build like this would work against a freaking mass spear box? But the big catalyst was surrounding and routing off Tyrion in the beginning. I mean, if Tyrion had stayed on the field, I think Count Games would have had a decent chance of winning. It would have been a pretty close game. But him getting routed early was big. But the fact that they even function, 2,500, 872, Alberic got 26, Trebuchet with 1,600 value, not bad. And of course, the rest of the Cav did fine. Silverin still got good value, but the healing and durability of that Bretonian army was truly something else. So GG well played to those players. Let's go take a look at what they actually cost. So we're going to go to Skirmish vs. AI and see. So I was actually looking at it. So you guys can see I loaded in before, and I was like, how much does it cost to max gold chevron these guys? Okay, 2,400 for those. Man, that is pricey and a half. Okay, so he must have obviously cut some abilities here and, yeah, cut some spells there to make it affordable. All right, guys, GG well played. Awesome game there. That was really fun, and we will see you guys on the other side.